I'm really glad I went into BJJ strong. Like, it is obvious. I'm not a small woman. Like, I'm almost 6 foot. I weigh like 165 to 170 pounds, depending on how much salty pizza I've had. It's really great to be long and strong.
You're listening to Barbell Logic, brought to you by Barbell Logic Online Coaching, where each week we take a systematic walk through strength training and the refining power of voluntary hardship.
Welcome to the Barbell Logic podcast. I'm Scott Hambrick, and that over there is Matt Reynolds. And then over here, who you can't see, but I can see, is Niki Sims. 1K, 1M.
That's right.
It's very important.
1K.
I really prefer, I'm the 1K.
1M. I mean, she deserves extra consonants, but it's tidier this way.
She's very tall, but she's actually the shortest person on this podcast.
Wait a minute, is that true?
Oh, wow. I don't know how I feel about that.
You're like 5'11", right?
Yeah.
Just a hair under 6. Scott, we're both like 6'1", right?
I'm 6'2". How dare you?
Are you 6'2"?
Yes.
That's a hair. If you had the same hairstyle as I had, we would be the exact same height.
Dude, what you don't know is I'm taller if I'm shaved.
That's not true at all.
Because just the way the light hits it or something?
Yeah.
I've been watching, I know you don't watch TV. I've been watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Mm.
I know you've probably heard of this show. I think Carl watches it.
It's really good. It's funny.
Here's the thing about Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Nikki. Everyone in that show is a piece of shit. Is there a single good person in that entire TV show? She's a horrible human. She's horrible. Now, I love the show. Let me back up. And Abe Weissman, her dad, is the star of the show, right? The guy that plays Monk or whatever in the show Monk. He's great. But essentially, everybody in the show is a piece of shit.
That's sort of modern television. Like, almost, there's everybody in The Sopranos is terrible. And that sort of started it, where if there's a hero, they're always an anti-hero. Heisenberg and the whatever the hell that show's called, Breaking Bad.
Niki Sims was in Breaking Bad. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
She was an extra.
Very briefly as an extra.
I did not know that. What did you
lived
play?
In the ABQ.
I was a DEA secretary, and we were in a meeting. There was a big conference room. I was sitting off to the side typing on this computer, kind of taking notes.
So
really short hair.
Glasses or no glasses?
Glasses, short hair, like office attire, blouse kind of thing.
You need to pull that up on Netflix and do a screenshot and then post it on your Instagram. And then since we're addressing it in the podcast,
did you have to get an after card and all that stuff?
No, I went to this huge casting call because they were getting ready to film the Avengers, and they just built the big old studio out there. So they did like a giant casting call for like all of New Mexico, and I just showed up for that and got into like the Breaking Bad library. I don't know.
we ostensibly we had Niki on here to answer some questions from listeners about combat sports, BJJ in specific, and weight training or strength training.
Which Scott and I know nothing about, obviously, because we don't do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
I do, however, roll.
Yeah, I heard that about you. I've heard you broke some pelvises in your day.
Tried.
So, Niki, how long you've been doing specifically BJJ? And I think a lot of this from a macro perspective would apply to MMA in general, but specifically you have focused on Brazilian Jiu Jitsu for how long? How long have you done that?
It'll be 2 years in July.
Okay.
So like a year and a half.
So about the time did you start it when you moved to California?
Yeah. So that would be a couple months after I moved to California. I wanted to pick up another hobby that made me go meet people, and I wanted to do something a bit physical that wasn't lifting. And this one was like a half a mile away from my house. It was either BJJ or Aerial Silks, and Aerial Silks was like 30 minutes away.
Aerial Silks.
Yeah.
Like your
that's
Pink?
like super pretty. Like Cirque du Soleil, and they
like Pink. That's what Pink does on her actual concerts.
Oh,
she sings and does Aerial Silks at the same time. What? Pink is amazing.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Not a fan. Hashtag not a fan.
I just don't what's the word where you just don't really care?
So You go to California. So first, let me back up for a second. So you've been on the podcast obviously before, and everybody knows who you are. That's you're the Niki Sims. It's not the porn star. So most of our listeners know that. So strength training, strength coaching has been your hobby for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
And over the past several years has gone from being hobby to being career. Like it's the career now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth. I think you still enjoy strength coaching, strength training, all those sorts of things. But you and I have talked about this off show that like you needed something that was like away from that was a hobby. Essentially what I do with whiskey, you do with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
I get excited about it.
Yeah.
I have my schedule for it.
I roll around on the floor with whiskey bottles sometimes. I put it in a little gi and I roll.
Making a hobby a profession is maybe not a good idea as a guy that always does that.
I don't know that it's a bad idea, but like you better have another hobby.
Yeah, it can snuff the joy out of it, can't it?
Yeah, it can. I don't know. I really like how my career has evolved from something that I was just doing as a hobby, from like going to the gym and then getting into CrossFit and then getting into lifting. And it's taken me to somewhere that I never thought I would be. Like I literally left the job that I was doing in construction because I did not want to be a fat HR lady. And now I'm HR. It's ridiculous, but I love it because now it's like through like pursuing that hobby, it helped me just like really hone in on what's important to me and like things that bring me value. And now I can take that into this career that's amazingly come to be. So it's not like I went to school for HR and now I'm making that fit into something. It's like I was able to pursue me and now making it work for this role.
Right. I love that you don't have an HR background and that you do HR for us at Barbell Logic. I would never want it the other way around. I wouldn't have wanted to take somebody who was from an HR background and try to make them the square peg into the round hole, like fit Barbell Logic, barbell training, strength training. Like that's what we do. Like you were part of us and now you've been able to branch out and do HR, but also then learn about HR rather than being an HR person who had to learn about strength training.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want that. Like you were all, so you knew what our culture was and what we were about. And so, so, people ask me all the time, people are like, what do you do? What are you into? What's fun? And for me, a lot of times I'm like, well, like I do this business, but I also like bourbon and whiskey and like, oh, that's interesting. What's that about? I'm like, well, that's the fun part, the bourbon and the whiskey. And I think for you, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is part of that. Like it's sort of like, it's certainly adjacent to strength training. You can see how strength training will make that better as opposed to bourbon drinking, which squatting makes no better whatsoever, or vice versa. They actually are at diametrical opposite. Like they're completely opposed to each other.
I'm really glad I went into BJJ Strong. Like it is obvious. And like, I'm not a small woman. Like I'm almost 6 foot. I weigh like 165 to 170 pounds, depending on how much salty pizza I've had. And like, it's really great to be like long and strong. Yeah. For lifting. Cause
confirm
for BJJ.
What role do you think confidence specifically on the mat plays in what you're doing in BJJ? So as you go in, you're like, I'm stronger than the person or do you think that? Do you think like I'm stronger than this person? Does that kind of stuff go through your mind, or is it like still technique, or?
It's in the beginning. So when you first start jiu-jitsu, like everything is weird. You're wearing these ridiculous baggy clothes and you feel like such a weirdo. Nothing feels right. You're like having to do somersaults and everything feels weird. And so you get into positions when you're learning and rolling and sparring where you have the opportunity to use your strength because that's all that you know. And so you end up getting exhausted and you just try to like out muscle, and we call it a spazzy white belt because you're just like all over the place. And when you start to move away from that and, see and learn more of the technique, then you kind of start with the technique and then use your strength appropriately for that. But it helps to be strong because you can like protect yourself better. You can hold positions longer. You can tire the other opponent out. Like if I get someone in my close guard, like I'm legit trying to chop them in half with my legs, and they're going to get exhausted trying not to die. And like, if you have strong legs, you can do that. And if you don't, you just get tired sooner. So And then, you use, just regular and, use hip extension, use elbow extension, use back extension and flexion. You're pushing and pulling. So
use elbow hyperextension. I mean,
hopefully not.
That's what every time I've done Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, I end up in elbow hyperextension.
Oh, that's not
Somebody
good.
puts me in an arm
should
bar.
tap sooner.
Yeah, I know. I'll just pass out. I'm just stubborn. Just go down.
We have a number of questions here. In question 1, this is all the questions. How do you manage BJJ in lifting?
Yeah. Well, I get asked that a lot because a lot of people are getting into BJJ, and I'm no expert, but I've been able to learn a lot in the last year and a half. And I think the best thing you can do is continue to do both on their kind of own programs, but really pay attention to your frequency of each. I lift Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I go to jiu-jitsu Tuesday and Thursday. And it works really well to have them on separate days. I pretty much only go 2 times a week. If I go a third time a week, I just feel super beat up, and both my BJJ and my lifting suffer, and that's just not worth it. So if I want to do more jiu-jitsu, I'll stay longer at class. I'll roll for longer, but I keep my frequency typically at 2 days a week, BJJ, 3 days a week lifting. And if I am going to go a third time, it's going to be all right, I'm coming in, I'm doing 60, 70%. And you can do that with drilling, and you can just drill, and you can not spar. So you have to learn to let one or the other be a priority. That's the biggest thing that I think that's the most important thing is let one be a priority. And it's okay if they switch around. I got ready for a deadlifting meet last year. And so I kind of let deadlifting be number one. I didn't want to go to jiu-jitsu and fuck up my thumbs or do something that would hurt my deadlift because I was going for something big. So I let lifting be my priority. And then I had a BJJ competition. So I let that be my priority. And we kind of held back lifting just a little bit for a couple weeks before the comp. But be okay with one or the other being a priority sometimes.
You can't have it all.
Yeah.
We have X amount of athletic capacity, both for performance and recovery. And you got to just budget it out. There's no other way around it.
You really will get beat up, and both of your activities will suffer. But you have to be consistent. Stick with that consistency, and you really have to do it. Don't say you're just going to go 2 times a week to make it count, but then only go 1 time a week. That's not going to be enough. You actually have to do it.
Or train is the same sort of thing. You never miss training. I don't know how long have I coached you? 1.5 years, 2 years, something like that.
I'm slightly obsessive.
And you never ever miss. And so you're also very proactive in your training schedule. So we're recording this on today, January 2nd. What is today? So it's just post holidays, and you're very proactive with me in your, hey, I'm going to be traveling this day. I'm going to be driving this day. I'm going to be driving this day. I'm going to be with family these days, so I can train this, and this day. Looking forward rather than looking back and saying oh, I did the best I could. And then the other thing is, I think, most people know you for your lifting and your coaching. You're well known in our community for that. You are definitely an advanced lifter at this point. You've got advanced numbers. You've been doing this for a long time. You definitely have trained. If lifting and strength training was the singular goal, you would be training 4 days a week on a 4-day split, or even a 4-day split with maybe 5 total press/bench presses per week. Mm-hmm. But you've been very adamant about with me in your programming that you're going to train in the weight room, which you mostly do at home in your garage, 3 times a week, so that you can continue to do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu because it brings you a lot of value. And I'm going to do that, which means I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of the additional frequency or a little bit of the workload that I would have if I didn't have BJJ. And so we do the best we can. We kind of program you on a 3-day full body program that's very it's pretty DUP styled. You do, you squat a couple times a week instead of 3. And a lot of that is because you got a little bit of asymmetry and some hip issues and some knee issues you've fought for years. And so 3 times a week is just a little too much. It'll beat you up in your hips and knees. You deadlift 3 times a week. That's probably the primary strength driver for you. You're able to deadlift with a little higher frequency. And then you bench press with very high frequency as well, 3 times a week. And so
then
that's what
accessories.
Yeah, and then you do like the basic like chins and barbell rows and that's right, and triceps and biceps and the accessory stuff is pretty fast and furious at the end. Knock it out in 12 minutes or whatever at the end of your workout, and then you're able to go in on
the most gratifying part of training
is the accessory stuff.
Yeah, it's fun to bro out, get all veiny.
Well, you got that sweet lighting too, so you got all those like Christmas lights and stuff in your gym. So yeah. So once you're done doing all your big picture stuff, like what you start to, you get the bro out stuff. You get the great shadows. So and then you're able to do the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu on the Tuesday and Thursday, and then get to recover over the weekend. That's right.
The rest days are super important. I think a lot of people they'll pick up a new hobby, and I see it a lot with BJJ. They're like, oh, I got to start yoga now, and I got to start Muay Thai also, and I should go to a boxing class, and they like never take any days off, and they're trying to just like go all in right then. But like, you really need to recover because BJJ, you're like literally putting your joints into positions to cause pain. Like it's like, that's going to happen. So you have to like not go into there tired and weak because you're going to get hurt.
Do you think, well, if someone was a novice, what happens? Like you're advanced. Yeah, you're advanced. You have the work capacity and the athletic advancement to be able to do all kinds of stuff. But a novice, it's a leading question. Novices can't do what you do.
Let me color the question just a little bit different. So you came into this as an advanced lifter and a novice Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, whatever, fighter, roller, whatever they're called. What if you're the other way around? So you've done BJJ for several years, and you recognize I need to train for strength, but I've done BJJ for a while, but I've really never done strength. I've really never done linear progression. What does that look like for those people?
I would say it's actually kind of similar. Like kind of pull back a little bit on jiu-jitsu, reduce your frequency by once or twice a week, depending on how frequently you're going. And then let your lifting days be just lifting days. And by that time, you're going to be advanced enough that you really can kind of toggle your intensity when you are doing jiu-jitsu and sparring, which is really good. But you're still going to need to let yourself recover. And most jiu-jitsu people are trying to be on the lighter side. So when you get into training and lifting, you're going to be trying to get a bit heavier. That's going to be a bit different. But in order to do that, you have to let yourself recover, and you have to eat, you have to stay hydrated, and you have to sleep. That's the last thing that's really important, is sleeping. Like, you have to sleep if you're going to do all these things or anything.
Your body weight really hasn't titrated up much the last 2 years though, right? Like you've been able to hold pretty steady.
Yeah, I've stayed the same for like several years now. I've just gotten more jacked arms, which is great.
There you go. Because you're a coach.
I want you to eat some sandwiches. Question 2 here. How would you adjust training for the menstrual cycle?
Yeah, I was actually surprised that I got so many questions about this. And we even talked about it with one of my students in the coaching academy. And the answer is that I wouldn't. There's not really enough happening hormonally to justify giant shifts. What really happens is you get more fatigued. So you just feel tired. And some people experience these symptoms more than others. So fatigue is real, and then like discomfort from like bloating and maybe not sleeping very well. And
I love a bloated squat though. Ugh. Isn't that squat PR day? Like tighten that belt up.
It feels the absolute worst.
The most bloated.
Huh?
Like it's harder to get to depth and everything just feels terrible. So like those are the real things that happen around the cycle, and I think you just have to keep training. I would never give someone like a program deload because I think it'd be a waste.
You mean they don't become disabled and like they don't become like handicapped and all gimped up?
I don't.
That's what all women should get, like handicap parking tags for just their time. So like when they're in the middle of their menstrual cycle, they can park up close to the store.
Okay, so part of me really agrees with that. I would love that. And part of me is just like, no, don't treat us any differently.
So the other thing is like I've coached for so long. Obviously, I've never experienced a menstrual cycle. So other than sympathy pains. But I will say that I've coached hundreds, if not thousands of women, and when they feel like they're affected positively or negatively changes by the woman. Mm-hmm. So, for example, my wife feels not good pre-menstrual cycle and the first day or two of the menstrual cycle, and she feels superhuman during ovulation period. But I've also had female clients who actually feel really strong during menstruation and not necessarily after. And so the problem with trying to pigeonhole everybody into, hey, let's always deload every 28 days is it's different per person. And like you said, for most people, it's not enough of a fluctuation of matter.
Yeah, and deload, it would be absurd. You might shift for more intensity or maybe more volume, but to deload
when they feel great. Yeah, that's right. To deload would be crazy. Now I will say that Rachel and she hasn't competed in a year and a half or so, but when she tries to pick a meet, she literally tries to do the math and pick a meet so that she does a meet during her ovulation period, so that because she's like, she knows she feels better. And that's fine. I mean, I think most of that is sort of placebo. Maybe it's not, but she feels better that way, and it's fine. But I think it's just too varied.
The largest effects are the emotional effects of your training. Sure. So what it really messes with your mindset. So you'll go in and be like, oh, I feel weak. I feel tired. All my lifts feel like garbage. And they probably look fine. But like, maybe you're not sleeping very well. You just feel like crap. And then also like you are bloated. So you just look bloated, and you just like, I hate my lifting videos during that week. I'm just like, I need to find the right angles for all these.
Do you have
and I'm sure all my feedback to you when I'm having my shitty week is just like even more dramatic than it usually is.
Right.
Do you have to let out your belt a hole?
No, I have too much of an ego to let that happen. So I just force it.
You just like, it's super tight. I can't breathe.
If anything, I'll put on another shirt and then I'll let the belt out a hole, because I'll be like, oh, okay.
I got another shirt on.
Great. Now everybody knows when I wear a shirt.
You lose circulation to your legs. Like, I can't feel my legs. You get done with your squat, you got to open the thing up as fast as you can. All right. So don't adjust training for.
I wouldn't.
For the menstrual cycle. What else you got, Hambrick?
Question from a coach in England.
Oh, yeah.
Some of her female clients keep their training a secret, so they get isolated. They quit training and go back to Slimming World. So Slimming World, they don't have Weight Watchers over there. They call it Slimming World. That's the name of the business. That was her like.
Sure.
That's what she calls like the world of exercise, where it's just trying to get skinnier and skinnier.
So what follows is the kind of question that I hate. How can you support your clients through this?
I don't think that's a bad question.
All right, good. That's why you're on.
So here's what's happening is they're trying something new, something that they've learned they should do. They're trying to get stronger. They're drinking protein shakes. They're going to the gym. They're doing all the things that they thought they should never do. And when you first start training, you don't see effects really quickly, and you're just learning how to lift, and you maybe don't see changes really quickly, but you're still having to do it while the rest of your friends are like, well, I'm doing yoga and I'm going running. I'm part of this running group. Like, it's all over their social media. And so they're trying this tough, uncomfortable thing that they think they should be doing, or that they know they should be doing, but they're not supported in any other aspect of their life for it. So they don't feel like they can talk about it, or, like she said in her email, like they kind of hide it. And so when you don't have that community, like you don't keep going.
Me being how I am, I don't understand this supported thing. No, I'm being honest. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Well,
like, what does that mean?
So
my neighbor doesn't care about my training.
Right. But here's the thing. Like, when you try something new, a lot of people may not be 100% sure about it. It seems like when you try something new, you were like, yes, 100% sure. I am totally secure in all of this. But not a lot of people there's always insecurity at play for a lot of people. Of course, not Scott Hambrick, but with other people, there's insecurity going on. And so if that is already kind of weak, or if they're still developing their own sense of personal security, like when they try and do something new that's not common in society or in their community, then it's a lower chance that they're going to follow through with it, because their own insecurity issues are standing in their way. That's really what it comes down to. And then they're not getting like the feedback around them that would make them more secure for it.
Yeah, Hambrick, I mean, you've dealt with this with Charity for sure. I saw Charity a couple of months ago, and Charity was the leanest I had ever seen her. She's like, Her shoulders were like this wide. Like she was, I mean, in a good way. It's broad shoulders. I mean, as flat abs, belly as she's ever had, I've ever seen her. And I remember you and I talking about it, like even Charity, who's done this, who's a highly competitive athlete, was still sort of struggling around what the number on the scale said. And the problem with these systems, I mean, you know, Rachel's parents and my parents and a lot of people we know have done things like Weight Watchers, where like you literally walk in a community group and get on a scale and they congratulate you or shame you based on like what the scale says. Well, so like it creates, you've got this entire like massive paradigm shift with what we're doing, where it's like we're actually going to like train to get stronger and put on some muscle mass and lose some fat. And, you know, like Nikki, you look a lot different than you did 2 years ago, but your body weight's the same, you know? And so it's just,
yeah. So the support thing, and everybody's just going to think I'm being curmudgeonly. I really don't get it. It's like, okay, don't go around those people. Like they don't fucking understand what you're doing. Don't go around them.
Right. It's like, it's
support. It's more like you have cancer. You got some stuff to cut out. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
It's like, you need to, that was my initial gut response, was like, well, be around people who don't make you feel like that. And also it is obvious when you're very sure about something, people who don't quote unquote support you, you don't freaking care. It's like, I don't expect people to care about what I'm doing with my eating or with my jujitsu or with my lifting. Like, that's not their job. Like, it's my job to be sure about what I want to do with my sleep schedule, what I want to do with whatever. And I don't really need them to tell me that that's fine.
But in the transition into strength training, like you said, where people are specifically females, and that's not entirely fair because males struggle with it as well, where it's like this new thing that's not something they've ever done before. And so like all their past history is, this isn't the thing I was after. Now I'm after this thing. And then the other part is this. How often do you see strength training communities who have a good handle on a right relationship with food and lifting and body weight and what, like it's pretty rare, right? So, or even just a supportive community in general around strength training is rare. Whereas if you go to CrossFit, community is big. But community is often like, hey, let's eat paleo or zone diet. Let's starve ourselves. Let's like whatever. Maybe it's hot yoga. Let's sweat our ass off. Let's lose a bunch. So you've got all these other sort of like communities that are probably very supportive, quote unquote, in what they do. But like their goal isn't our goal, and their goal isn't what. So it would be tough to be both a man or a woman who decides like, hey, I want to get stronger. I want to put on muscle mass. I'm potentially going to put on some body weight. And you're surrounded by these other communities that don't share that same goal. You can see why there would be a problem or there'd be a disconnect between that person. And they're like, you know, I'm used to Weight Watchers who like looks at my body weight on a scale.
Right. And they don't know that they can trust lifting yet. They're like starting this like new relationship and they don't know if they could trust it. And then they might have to go try and defend it elsewhere. You know, and they're not sure about it all yet.
When I went to college, I had to take a foreign language, and I picked German. I don't know. And it was really, really horrible for me. Like, it took an enormous amount of time, and I was in my dorm room just having this pity party about how much time it took and how miserable it was and how I wasn't really even doing very well and all that. And then I had this revelation that no one cared. And a lot of people would say, oh, that's terrible. But to me, it was just completely liberating.
It's freedom. Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, okay, this is just something I have to do in my way, the best way I can for me. And it's just going to be what it's going to be. The guy next door, the teacher, no one cared.
Yeah.
And
that really is the best feeling.
For me, it was liberating. And nobody was, and it's not just that they don't care. Nobody's looking. If I get a C, if I get an F, if I get an A, nobody will even look. Like, it was just liberating to me. So, you know, if your friend wonders what you weigh or you're going to just quit. Just go do the thing. No, do the things that you need to do for yourself. Right?
That's right. That brings you value. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. It brings you value. And look, it's the same. Let's be clear. It's exactly the same with strength training too. Like, let's not pretend that it's not.
Yeah.
You know? If you go to a powerlifting meet or USSF meet, do you know who cares about how you do at that meet? Nobody does. Maybe your wife does, or significant
or like
other.
maybe a rival.
Right. Or like maybe your mom comes, but like your mom comes and she's like, I don't know the difference between a 300-pound squat and a 600-pound squat. There's just a bunch of weights on a bar.
Yeah.
They don't care. Nobody cares. And that's why when the first time I have a client that's like, or I have a client that's doing a first time competition, like, do you think I'll do well? Like, what does that mean? Do you think I'll place?
Well. Yeah.
Who
or I'm
cares?
not ready to compete yet.
Can you imagine? Nobody cares if you place except for you. And then anybody who's done 3 or 4 plus meets, they also don't care if they place. Like if I go to a meet, I couldn't care less if I take first, second, third, don't place at all. Don't care. I'm going to hit PRs, right? And so
this is also interesting to me. Any sort of behavioral change is so disruptive to the people around you that they don't want you to have that change. If you're an alcoholic and you want to quit drinking, if you have some sort of spiritual conversion, if you're going to not be fat, you're going to be skinny, if you're going to be strong instead of weaker, if you're going to go whatever, it just disrupts everybody around you. And
it might make them uncomfortable.
They don't like it.
That they're like, well, does that mean I drink too much? Like, well, I can't be around you now because maybe I'm insecure about how I eat and how, I don't know. But I think it like
the cliche,
always threatens people's insecurities.
The cliche is always, dude, you've changed. Like, people just don't want it. And when you, if you make a change, there's going to be a great deal of like social inertia around you that's going to cause trouble, and connections will be broken and new ones must be formed. And, I think ladies are in general going to be more social than maybe dudes are.
You know what? You've talked about this with Pewter, like the idea of having connection. Like you have people that you come over, or people that come over to your gym and you live together. Like that's the connection. We don't have to call that support, but it's the connection that I think makes this really valuable and meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, that's why that word support bumps me so much, because it doesn't really, it's like, I need to do something actively to help your deadlift go up, Nikki. And that's not true.
You have to be a good coach.
We just need to be, and we need to be good friends to each other.
Yeah.
And, and just be like-minded when we can be.
But
I think
that's what it comes down to. It's that idea of shared values, right? So when you've been dealing with a group of people who you share a value with them, the value is Weight Watchers or CrossFit or
which is awesome,
hot yoga, which is fine. It's actually like a perfectly good starting. But then you change the value system. You do change, and you're like, I'm going to get strong. I'm going to do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I'm going to do whatever. Well, like the Weight Watchers group can't be, their value system isn't the same. And so you have to then find a group of people that share the value system with you if you're going to make the connection. You're not going to be able to make the same connection with the Weight Watchers group by squatting and deadlifting as you did by starving yourself for 48 hours before you step on that scale. That's what everybody does, right? Everybody eats whatever the fuck they want all week, and then they starve themselves for 48 hours, and they walk in and step on a scale and like, don't drink water, take a Lasix or a PMS pill, and take a diuretic, and they're like, oh, look, I lost weight again. Now that's not the value system anymore. Now the value system is like, oh, I hit a PR squat. Well, you better find somebody you better find a group of people, or at least a person, if you need to make that connection, that values what a PR squat is. They don't actually have to help you get that PR squat. That's not the right.
It's just being surrounded by people who notice that something's important to you, and then they care that that's important to you, and they're just like, cool, that's great.
Yeah, but don't you also see that usually those things are important to them too? Like your thing isn't important to them, but like the same thing that you're chasing, they're also usually chasing. So they see like you're trying to get better. You're trying to get what belt did you just get in BJJ?
Blue.
So, and they're chasing a belt as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I see that, and so that's the support. I see that, I support that, right? I encourage that, whatever. So
but what else you got? I have a lot of friends that like don't lift and who don't do jiu-jitsu. It's this like, we can still, like encourage each other and listen to each other about that stuff. And it's just like, we don't have to agree on everything for us still to be like good friends.
I think I have friends that don't do lifting or the other stuff that I'm into, but I don't know how much I'm encouraged by those friends in the lifting and the things they're not into. Like we might have a same value connection for like church or whiskey or good food or whatever, but if I'm like, hey, I hit a new deadlift PR this week, they might be like, cool.
You haven't said that in 27 years.
Okay, so, or whatever. Hey, I did 3 workouts this week. For the
Way to
first
go,
time.
man.
Then it's not the same. So I think you can. I mean, I think for people who are truly your friend, I think they will encourage you in your successes, regardless of what those successes are. But ultimately, like, they don't give a shit about your deadlift PR, unless they're also pursuing deadlift PRs.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully they can value you enough that they can be happy for your happiness in that. But that's about as far as it goes, which is a good thing. But if you can add on, some sort of deep understanding of the thing that you value as well, then it's another level of friendship. Which brings up, well, maybe not that does, but the last question brings up this next, which is, what is your diet like? Do you do cardio?
My diet is, it's like, I eat like the same breakfast every day. I eat egg whites and bacon, and then I have like oatmeal. And then lunch is just like whatever, protein bars, chicken, I don't know. And then I'll have like ground meat, and I'll have ice cream and usually wine or whiskey. It's like really like super the same bachelor lazy person. Although I started doing something with Jillian this week, and she has me eating like all just real food, no dairy, no booze. And it actually is really fun because I'm actually cooking real food, which has been nice. But yeah, my eating is like high protein. I eat generally low fat for most of my meals so that I can have a higher fat meal at one point in the day, because that's what makes me happy. Like usually it's ice cream, specifically Moose Tracks ice cream. So I don't know. I like structure and planning around things, so that works well for me. And then, yeah, cardio is just jiu-jitsu. I don't do any other cardio.
Which is a lot of cardio.
Yeah, it is.
That's pretty intense, right?
It's HIIT,
and we
right?
kind of jog for like 2 minutes at the beginning, and that's like, oof.
That's plenty.
Enough, yeah.
Because that gets your heart rate up, and then you go right into the like rolling, and your heart rate never really comes down.
Well, we do the one where we like run around in circles and we like move our arms around and shuffle, and then we do like forward rolls and these little drills, and yeah, then we practice techniques, and then we spar, and that's the real cardio.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of HIIT, high intensity intervals.
It's a lot of HIIT, sometimes 5 minutes of HIIT. Like there have been a few times where after you roll, I just am really trying to not throw up. Like we're trying, like everybody's lined up to leave class, and I'm just like, please don't puke.
Have you ever tried throwing up on your sparring partner? Like you're going to win.
Oh,
just yarf on their neck.
You're supposed to be respectful to your training partner.
It's interesting that you've been doing this long, and you still have some times where I assume it's just like a lactic acid or lactate buildup, where there's some additional whatever hydrogen ions or acid in your belly where you're like, oof. I mean, is that what it is? It's like a conditioning component. It's like it's like running in PE class, and you're like, ugh.
Or if you've done like the prowler, it's like after you finish a really hard prowler workout.
Like prowler flu. You got BJJ flu.
That's your BJJ name now, the prowler.
As long as it's not BJJ flu.
Here's a good one. Have you gotten cauliflower ear or cauliflower anything?
I bought riced cauliflower from Trader Joe's recently.
Ooh, I like rice cauliflower.
Yeah, that's bad.
Made some good mashed potatoes
I don't
out
want
of those.
Cauliflower ear. I would get that drained immediately.
How many people have cauliflower ear in BJJ? Is it pretty common?
I don't have a good answer.
I mean, when you're at the gym, how many guys you're like, that guy's got a fucked up ear?
They're like, there are some guys that just like never wash their gis, and they just want everybody to know that they do BJJ. So they just really have like the orc ears.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You can just get cauliflower. I don't think it's from cleanliness, is it? Is it from cleanliness?
I'm talking about like the guy that's just like, BJJ is my life.
Right.
And, like, all they can think about consumes them.
He like goes home and watches Netflix and like yanks on his ear to like try to tear the cartilage a little bit in order to get cauliflower ear.
They need to earn it for themselves. They've got
main fitness goal for 2020. What is your main fitness goal for 2020,
I would love
Niki?
to deadlift 500 pounds this year, but I don't think that's going to happen this year. What do you think I can hit this year, Matt? Like 450?
Easy 450. I think you hit 450 by the end of the first quarter, by the end of March, you could do that. A 500-pound deadlift is heavy, is strong. I think if you went to, I think you have a chance of doing a 500-pound pull, especially if you did like a deadlift only meet with a deadlift bar.
Yeah. By the time I'm 50, I want to deadlift 500 pounds.
50?
I've got 15 years.
I think you can do it before that.
And then I want to win another BJJ competition.
Yeah, you won your first. So was that your first tournament as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you won. So that was what's that been? 6 weeks ago now? How long ago was that?
I think it was in September.
Oh shit. I'm way off.
Maybe it was October.
Yeah, so you went and did your first tournament competition. What are they called?
I guess it was a tournament. I had enough people in my division that I got to fight like kind of like it was a tournament. Yeah. I don't know. It'll be different now for blue belt because you're a blue belt for like 3 years and like there could be some really freaking good blue belts.
Right.
So we'll see. I might do it in March. I'm thinking about it. Just, it'd be a good learning opportunity. It's okay if I don't win. I mean,
are there a fair number of tournaments in your area?
Oh
you
yeah,
don't travel much.
This is a big
it's a hotbed.
Oh yeah, it's giant. Yeah, those are my 2 goals.
Excellent. How often do you? I don't know that I saw this as a question, but one of the things I was thinking about for people who do this is what are the injuries or sort of like the pain points that you have to deal with most often? Is it around the elbows and the knees?
Yeah.
Are there things? And then
shoulders. Fingers,
broken toes,
fingers.
They'll get jammed. Yeah, like fingers and toes.
I haven't jammed a finger since probably 1993.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Oh, I remember them. Like when I was, I would, like if you catch a basketball right on the end of that's how I would get it. Is I play basketball.
I never realize how much you use that finger until it's just all messed up.
What is an actual jammed finger? Is it just where like the one bone slams into the? It's like
you just bruise that person.
It's like patellofemoral syndrome where they just slam into each other and then it just swells up around the joint. Is that what's going on there in a jam?
You probably just bruise
because
that
you wouldn't
versa.
think that's really what happens in like BJJ. You think it gets bent weird or pulled weird or yeah.
My BJJ guys have broken toes all the time.
Yeah,
broken toes. God.
Yeah, they're barefooted and you dig in. You're pushing on this guy at a steep angle. Right. And they break their toes.
Well, I don't want that.
I can remember I did it for just a couple months, years and years ago. And I don't bruise easily anywhere except for like my bicep armpit area. Mm-hmm. And I can remember getting done, the second or third day. And I came back and it looked like I was in a deeply abusive relationship. I was just like
like grabs.
Oh, just like thumbprints and fingerprints on my biceps where I was super, super, super blue and purple. And I remember thinking to myself at the time, this was back when I was trying to become a professional strongman. Like, how do you become a professional strongman and do BJJ at the same time? The answer is you don't. And so, and of course, I'm like the least flexible human on earth, so I was constantly putting in.
We can't
arm
do
bars
everything.
And leg bars and things like that. So
yeah, my arm bars don't have to go very far. Other women that I roll with, just keep bending their arms. It's like, you feel
like this is gonna break. Yeah,
and they just touch my arm. I'm like, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So, Niki Sims, final question. This is for all of the money. What are your pet peeves?
You know who asked this? Andrew Jackson asked this.
Oh my gosh.
And I started writing out a list.
This question is one of mine.
Excellent.
Okay, so he asked in general and at the gym. I'll start with the gym. Dirty gyms. I really don't like when gyms are dirty.
Yes.
Like clean up your chalk, vacuum, put stuff away. Dubstep. If any of that
Roger that
transformer crap comes on, I want to leave immediately.
I don't even know what that is. I'm sorry.
It's like Transformers.
Nope. Not interested.
So bad.
Dead mouse.
Leaving equipment out, lack of 2.5 plates, shitty collars, unsolicited advice. I don't really get that much, but I know a lot of other people have to deal with that. I mean, probably because I lived in my garage. You probably know one of my biggest pet peeves is, Matt, because you make a big deal about it now since I shared it with you, about sneezing.
Oh, she doesn't like you to say, God bless you.
I think it's so silly. I think it's such a silly thing that no one should do.
So now every time she sneezes, I announce to the room that no one should say, God bless you to Niki Sims.
I just wanted it to become a nothing, and now it's a bigger thing.
Yeah, which is far less invasive. So nobody say bless you because she hates it and she'll murder you. And she also, Niki she can't sneeze. You know how like a normal human sneezes twice in a row?
Mm-hmm.
Niki sneezes 7 times at one shot. Every single time. It's like 7 straight sneezes in a row.
Typically a minimum of 3. I'm just trying to, I don't want to spit a lot, so I like.
No, let go.
I let it go. It's a full-blown face orgasm.
Yeah, quit fighting it.
Yep. I'm doing money. I had a money shot. We went to a Japanese restaurant last night, and they were doing the hibachi grill, and I had 2 massive sneezes, and I just let it go all over the lobster and the fillet for the whole table. It was incredible.
And someone I'm sure said, "Bless you."
Well, yeah, it's the Midwest, obviously. I actually held up a napkin in front of my face, but it ricocheted off the napkin, and I had a blue Henley on, kind of like what I'm wearing right now. And I looked down, and there were like little pieces of salad all over my shirt.
Bless you for the time.
Thank you for that. I feel blessed.
Anyone who wants to offer blessings for me, I will accept them, even if you are a piece of shit.
People only say it so that they feel good about themselves. Like,
I don't think anybody says it to feel good about yourself. I just think it's just the standard. Yeah, it's true. Do you have more pet peeves?
I have 2 more.
Okay, let's hear them because I'm waiting for one. Well, let's hear the other 2.
The other 2 are like more like, oh, I hate when people just have something to prove when traffic lanes merge. Or it's just like, oh, we've been driving fine next to each other, and now our lane is merging, and I have to get right here, or I have to get in front of you, or I have to make this a thing. Just like, we're all gonna be fucking fine. Like, let's just go together in this lane. Everyone's gonna be okay with life.
It's a Southern California thing.
That's an everywhere thing.
Because you got
it's kind of an everywhere thing.
That's an everywhere thing.
We're nice.
And then my last thing was flaky people. I hate people who are just clearly waiting for the next best thing to pop up, and they're flaky, and they say, sure, maybe, and then they just, I don't know, non-committal flaky people.
So this is specifically dating related.
No, that's everything. It's just like friends who you want to make plans with, and they're just like, yeah, maybe I'll let you know about Thursday night, and they just like don't let you know.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say now that you have everyone's attention? Don't waste this.
Gosh. I wish I had prepared better for this.
Should anybody follow you anywhere?
Not to my house.
Okay, good.
You can follow me on Instagram. I'm Vera_nice, NAHCE. I think those are the only places where I exist on Instagram.
We're slowly stepping away from the, we're going to be the anti-social media coaching company.
I've been thinking about deleting my Instagram. I've had a few close calls recently.
Completely worthless social media.
Yeah. I kind of just only want to hang out with people on Zoom calls or in person. Like, I want to see your face, I want to have real conversations, or I want to go hang out.
What if our social media marketing from here on out for Barbell Logic was basically like, you don't want to be on this anymore. Like, that's the whole marketing ploy is basically like,
take it out.
Get off this.
Yeah.
Also, we'll do your online coaching for you.
Yeah.
Complete waste. Social media.
I know I'm going to hang up and then 20 minutes later have the perfect answer for that, Scott, but oh well.
Excellent.
Are you taking applications?
Yes, I'm accepting applications.
Okay, where should they submit their application?
Maybe to you, and you can filter them out.
Oh, I would be glad to do that.
Yeah.
Any potential suitors, feel free to email a cover letter, just a cover letter. I don't want a resume. It needs to be
cover letter only.
Yeah, it needs to be in 10-point courier.
Okay.
If it's not that, I'm deleting it. It needs to be in PDF. So if you can't follow these simple instructions, you don't get to see Niki.
Courier is like the old school typewriter type a little bit, right?
That's right. That's the font. It has to be 10-point. It has to be courier. It has to be double space. It has to be a PDF. And we're going to email those. You can email those to
Can we
Scott.
put some sort of requirements on there, like height?
Well, what kind of requirements do you want? If height is a requirement.
See, I don't want to put any of those kind of requirements on there because I don't want them to fudge something that's important.
Oh, okay.
So we have some things that, inside the organization that we're looking for, but it's up to you to make your case as best as you can. In 10-point courier, double space, PDFs emailed to
double space
shambrick at barbell-logic.com, and I'll have a look at those things. And no response is in fact just that. So don't email twice.
You don't want a picture. You only want the 10-point. No, like you don't want.
Listen, it's up to them to make their case. right?
So everybody who just gives me fire eye emojis on Instagram, try this instead.
Fire eye emojis.
That's right. See what you do, Matt, is you give them some specific instructions, but then you leave it open. So you're testing for attention to detail, and it's also an IQ test proxy.
Right. I get
right.
it.
And so send that to shambrick@barbell-logic.com. And again, no response from me is in fact just exactly that, and you won't get one. So if you do get a response, I will blind copy Niki 1K Sims 1M on that, and then it will be up to her at that point to see what she will do with it. Guys, listen, the gate is narrow, but the path is rewarding.
No, I think that's fine.
She's completely okay with that.
You know what? I'm open to options. Clearly what I've been doing hasn't been working. Let's see what else can happen.
That's what you didn't say. Like, I just did Brazilian Jiu Jitsu to meet a husband and it hasn't worked, but I've gotten good at Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
Well, no, because I love going there. I don't want it to get messed up. Like,
okay.
That's my space now. Like, I don't.
No.
Yeah, no, I love it too much.
It'll be interesting. I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
I since like the fourth show, I've wanted this to be a regular segment.
Yeah, he wanted to play matchmaker for years.
I wanted to make this a regular segment for.
Although the thing is, if you think about it, we've only tried guys up to this point. We were playing matchmaker for guys who all turned out to be sort of millennial.
Yeah, and we've only got 23 female listeners. Like, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. So it actually is way easier to play matchmaker for a female on the show because we've got thousands and thousands of dudes listening. So this is actually
probably no one in Southern California, which is too bad.
No, that's good.
It's actually really good.
All the guys in Southern California eat soy and avocado toast right now.
That's right. If you live in California, need not apply.
They are eating avocado toast.
So bonus points for Midwesterners. We'll try to get Niki out of California.
I never say anything that's wrong. They're eating avocado toast. They're working on their first chin up.
Their first.
I don't think you ever had avocado toast, Scott?
I never want to spend the money on that. It's like $13.
I've never had obviously avocados are delicious.
I've had avocados touch bread on my plate.
Yeah, like I like give me a good like bacon and roast beef and egg sandwich with some avocados on it. I'm in.
I've eaten a piece of toast and then later in the day had some avocado.
Yes, of course. But like this is literally we make a piece of toast and we spread avocado on it and then charge $8 for it. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's more than that.
It's more than $8.
Oh yeah, it's like $15, and then you wash it down with a $9
with
soy
a Perrier
latte
or something.
Soy latte, and then you're like, gynecomastia.
You're like, I'm so fat. Yeah, like oh god.
I don't know why I'm fat. I'm just eating carbs and fat and soy.
Oh, the balsamic over at this place is so
good.
There's another Barbell Logic podcast. Hey, Niki. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah. Send your questions to us at questions@barbell-logic.com. And remember, 10-point, double-spaced, courier, PDF letters seeking Miss Niki 1K 1M Sims companionship.
You can send that to have a better last name than Sims. I mean, Niki Sims is like an entity.
That's true. That is true.
You don't want a guy that would let you keep your last name.
Yeah.
That'll be one of the things I'll be evaluating. Niki Simmons. Yeah, send that to shambrick@barbell-logic.com. And, if we get some good ones, maybe I'll read it on the air.
Or what if we could play the old dating game? We could have Niki back on the show. We'll take the top 3, and you have to wear a blindfold the whole time. And we'll do the dating game, and then we'll interview these guys live on the air, but you're on there too.
I like it. I like that very, very much.
That would be... Dude, how good would that show be?
That'd be so great. And
Pick the top 3.
Have known any of the letters.
That's right. Pick the top 3, and then she's got to wear the sleeping eye mask, and we'll do the show. That would be awesome.
Wait, so the guys are going to be there?
Oh, on Zoom.
Yeah, we'll have the guys on the show.
Oh my God.
So there'll be these 3 bachelors will be on the show. You'll be on the show, but you've got a blindfold on so you can't see them. That's what we're going to do. And then we'll just do it live. We'll just do it. That'd be awesome.
So mote it be. So mote it be. We will make that happen. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys.